Hi, it's Dr. Denise from my wood. Can you see the bluebells in the background? I so love bluebells, which is why my wood is now called Bluebell Wood. It's meaningful to me. Anyway, today I want to talk to you about decision making, about when to give up your job, when to retire. Now, although many of us are just intending to carry on working, although perhaps in a different way, there's still some people, and they've got it in their head that they're going to retire on their 66th birthday or 67 when times change. And that's what they've been gearing up to. They haven't been thinking about anything else. Perhaps they've been working for a company that doesn't even talk about it. So I was talking to somebody that I met recently. I'm always chatting to people about things to do with later life. And he was saying, I'm going to retire in 9 weeks on my birthday. And I was saying, okay. How did you come to make that decision? He goes well, I'll be 66. That's what you do, isn't it? You retire. And I says, well, you've got various options, haven't you? And he hadn't even thought about having various options. For him, his whole mindset was 66. It's time to take things easy. I'm going to retire. Now, he comes from quite a physically demanding job, so maybe it's a bit different for people doing that sort of work than people who are more computer-based. But actually, when you think about it, even if we're sat on our computers and dealing with clients and everything, it can still be stressful. It's just stressful in a different way. It's not the physical demanding, but it's mentally exhausting. But as I said, he's decided that his birthday is the time when he's going to make a change, and he's going to leave, and he's just looking forward to not being at work. And another thing that I said was, have you thought about what your life's going to be like in 6 months, a year's time? And no, he hadn't. And I think that's why retirement coaching, later life coaching is helpful, either, working with somebody like me or reading one of my books and following the activities within that. Just spending some time just thinking am I happy to make this big break? Because it's an enormous break to give up work. I took redundancy just around my 40th birthday, and I got a really decent payoff. But I hadn't realised just the impact it was going to have on me, how it would make me feel. I felt lost. I felt grief. I felt, have I done the right thing? And, I'd spoken to people who know about money and everything, and they said, just take the money, girl. You're never going to be offered that sort of money again. And obviously you can go off and do other things. But it's a big choice, and I don't think it's just financially the impact it's going to have, but how it's going to affect us in our head and how it's going to affect the people around us. So, for example, if you've got a stay-at-home partner, how's the relationship going to be like when you're at home more often? And what are you going to do with the time? Because obviously, the weather that we've got at the moment in late April is glorious. And, I could be pottering in the garden and going out on your bike and all those sorts of things. But then what? And is that going to be enough? Because something that we need to start thinking about is about keeping our brain active. And that's why people who carry on working in later life often stay healthier for longer, because they're using their brain more. So if you are going to stop paid work, then maybe you can use your brain more through some voluntary work. Maybe you can use your brain more through going back to study or some hobby that is quite challenging for you, or the conversations that you have with other people. But you do want to use the muscle that's your brain and think about what it is that you're going to do. And there's a whole range of things that you can be thinking about. Maybe it's about giving back. Maybe it's about doing something that you've always wanted to do. Maybe it's about taking time just to take that break and decide what you're going to do next. Now, interestingly, I met this person again, and they've just been offered a promotion because his boss has just left. And I'm saying, do you really want to take the promotion? And it was, but they've offered it me. But you can say no. And you have to think about what's right for you. And in my life, sometimes I say no to working with a client, no to some other opportunity, particularly the ones that want me to do things that are at personal cost to me and they're not even going to pay me for it. It's but why would I? And So I'm back to saying no quite a lot. But I do think it's easy to just get sucked into other people's agenda when they're saying, well, why don't you stay on another 6 months? Or why don't you do this job? Or why don't you do a 3-day week? Or just put off your decision till after the summer because they know they're going to have a lot of people on holiday. But think about what is right for you. And sometimes people can find it difficult to actually take time to make that decision. And that's why, for me, coming to my wood, away from other things that might attract my attention. I'm using my phone now to record this, but I'm not on my phone looking at social media or even reading the newspaper while I'm here. I come here with a book to read. So it's how can you take some time out? And I think I'm going to do another video about something called a medicine walk, which is something that when I'm working on Vision Quest, I get people to do as part of their preparation to get into the right headspace really for doing a Vision Quest. And of course I run my nature retreats, and I never like to do big sells on anything because the people who are ready to spend a full day or a weekend or longer in nature with me find me. So that's a good thing to do. So decision making, make sure your decision is right for you and don't get sucked into other people's agendas, because almost always they're not thinking about you, they're thinking about themselves. So it's Dr. Denise from Bluebell Wood, and until next time, bye bye.